Dobro jutro, lepo pozdravljeni. Verjamem, da današnjega gosta festivala strpnosti ni treba posebej predstavljati. Mirko Ilić, eden najboljših oblikovalcev z naših prostorov. Mirko Ilić, ki je sicer tudi avtor vizualne podobe festivala strpnosti in nasploh festivala judovskega filma iz Zagreba. Volonter, ki že več let predava o neonacističnih simbolih, ki nas obkrožajo. Jaz bi se rad Mirko zahvalil, ker je za samo 2 dni priletel iz New Yorka, da lahko tukaj pri nas volontira in nam podari tole predavanje.
I hope you hear me. Can I be still nice and beautiful with a little bit more light? No, I'm better in dark? Okay. This is not democracy. I'm not going to tolerate this. This is festival of tolerance, okay? I lecture other things too, not only about neo-Nazis, otherwise my life is a really miserable place. This is one of the things. I'm going to tell you how this started. I like logos, I like symbols, like every graphic designer, and a few years ago, 3 years ago, I saw on my Facebook, one of my Facebook friends, lady which I don't know, but she's my friend, posted the picture of her 13-year-old son in a split with t-shirt of a soccer fan club who he joined, and she was very proud her son grew up to be part of the soccer fan club, except on the t-shirt was a big sign of skinheads. And I understood that he doesn't know what is that. She doesn't know what is that, except the person who sold them know exactly what is that. And I sent her Facebook message and she was in shock and whatever. And then I started, more and more of that started to happen. And then I asked Mr. Branko Lustig, because we work together, I'm helping him a little with the festival, that maybe we can address that issue. That's how this lecture come up. There is many symbols of hate through the history. Some we don't know anymore, obviously, because there is no record. We don't know what was Genghis Khan flag and everybody was afraid of. Maybe it was smiley face, you know, yellow with smile. Here we come, but it doesn't mean much to us. But all other symbols which we know actually, once when they become symbols of hate, like swastika coming from Tibet, they never go back. You cannot unhate them anymore because they get really strong imprint in memory. I'm not going to talk about swastikas, about hammer and sickle, or whatever is symbol of hate for different groups. I'm going to concentrate only on symbol of hate around soccer clubs, especially in Europe, East Europe, and I think Greece are probably worst about that. Why soccer clubs? Because soccer clubs and their fan groups that became big hiding place for different neo-Nazis. That's where they get together. They pretend they are there in name of their country. Because all soccer games that became actually extension of war. You continue your little fights through this 11 people on a field. And I would like to show you how it's actually a really sad situation, because all these right-wingers, there is many of them, but they have very few symbols. Because of that, they must share symbols, even groups which they hate each other. But let's go there. And also one thing which I always like to mention, and because we spoke, I mentioned democracy before, we have nice expression, and that is when you put 3 left-wing together people, they establish 4 parties. When you put 3 right-wing people together, immediately they talk about color of uniform. Democracy is messy. Right action. Okay. How many of you ever saw this symbol?
Never.
How many of you know what is this? Only two? This is how you usually look on graffitis. This is symbol of skinheads. Skinheads and all these hate groups, they're used in small countries by politicians, which are also members of soccer clubs, by mafia, which are also members of soccer clubs or they board, and very often by church. You know, when you need to knock down gay pride parade, whatever, they're really easy to call in. Some a little bit more decent churches, like this one in England, in United States, actually published for their kids all symbols of hate to know difference between one cross and other cross, to not confuse them. And I'm gonna just quickly point you a few of them, which are gonna be important later, because I'm gonna concentrate on a few of them. This is Stormfront logo, the umbrella company or organization for most of the right-wingers. This is the Celtic Cross, which is skinhead symbol, and is one of, as they say somewhere here, most aggressive groups, neo-Nazi groups. And I would like to point you this skull here, which is really characteristic. That's SS Truppen skull, very characteristic skull. And also this strange thing, this is Odin rune. There was 13 letters in Nordic alphabet, and most of them, they became part of the Nazi symbols, because Hitler was thinking he's that one of the blonde, tall, muscular Viking people. Let's see them closer. That's me. This is, we can now, okay, right is okay. This is a symbol of skinheads. This is white pride. This is a stone from. This is that Luftwaffe SS, very characteristic skull. This is skinhead flag. It's actually German Nazi flag and replaced with a skinhead symbol. This is typical American skinhead. We have more skinheads in America than you can believe, but they cannot march publicly, except if they don't announce themselves and pay money for permission. They are controlled, they are listed somewhere. When they're arrested, the tattoos, they're photographed. The system is controlling them a little bit better. And let's talk about this gentleman. He's obviously a skinhead. Behind him here we have also Third Reich military flag. This is him as a musician, and this is tattoo with number 14. For skinheads, for numbers, they're very important. This is 14 letters, 14 words of statement of another white supremacist, why white race need to survive, and that's the 14. And that same skinhead here is in the news after he killed 6 Sikhs in Milwaukee, because poor guy, he was thinking they're Arabs because they have turbans. That means this nice guy killed 6 people in Milwaukee. And of course, he's army veteran. Because in one point of time, US Army needed soldiers and they let pretty much anybody in. Now, how that look in your neighborhood? I'm gonna start with Serbia. This is a little adjustment of skinhead symbol, which they put Ocila in. For you who cannot speak very well, this is Ratko Heroj. They're thinking Ratko Mladic. I said skinheads are one of the most aggressive groups. That's why they say here, stop faggot aggression, and symbol of skinheads. You know how faggots, they come, they're very aggressive, how they look, how they dress, they smell, can really overwhelm you. Okay, this is in center of Belgrade, and here is a bunch of nice things going on. Skinhead symbol, 14, 18. Do you know what is 18? First and 8th letter of alphabet, Adolf Hitler. And 8 is Heil Hitler. I'm showing you this just next time when you see, you're gonna know what it is. You're not going to ask, are you born in 88? That's why you have that. Now, we are now in Serbia. This is interesting. This is a Russian club and Serbian club. They are with God, but together 100% against gypsies. And of course, nice skinhead symbol behind. This is a partisan. This is very characteristic eagle, we can imagine from where, and is not from Rome, because everybody could try to justify, no, that's old Roman symbol. No, swastika is old Buddhistic symbol. No, Zig Heil is old Roman. Let's not keep them. This is guys ready to go to the game. South Guard, that's their name, because not only they're on south of the stadium, but they are guard from Muslim on the south of Europe. Little symbol here, little skinhead behind, little symbol of skinhead in. Now we're gonna go a little bit faster through everything. I'm gonna show you lots of that just to show you. This is that. That's that very, very characteristic SS skull. This means Serbia Srbima. Whatever that. This is on the way to stadium. I don't need to show you symbol anymore. This is on the way to stadium. I will just tell you this is Nedić symbol from Second World War. By the way, those faces they are discarded because this is all from internet. This is from their websites. Some more clever, they cover their faces. Some less clever, they don't cover their faces. This is interesting. What you're going to notice later. This is on the way to stadium. You have few symbols. Sometimes bulldog is on the top just to disguise. But you're going to also see one interesting thing. All these guys who hate gays, they look for any opportunity to take clothes off. I was on Gay Pride Parade, and I'm not gay, as I'm here and I'm not Jewish. Just to not think it's so simple. I was on Gay Pride Parade. They were in Belgrade, which got attacked by 6,000 different combinations of these people. There was 800 of us. 500 of us was female. Approximately 500 in that group was also straight. On the other side, there was 6,000 of them that didn't have one single female with them. And we was faggots, gays, and there was straight guys. Strange explanation. Symbol, but also old symbol. That way you don't think they don't know what they're talking. And now little stadiums around Serbia, one symbol, second symbol, symbol here, symbol here, symbol here. And it's constantly displayed on every game, every kind, symbols that are constantly appearing and nobody is paying attention to that. But it's also interesting, they're all very nationalistic, but they very often paint those skinhead symbols on their own national flags, distorting them. This is, let's say, a little camouflage symbol. They do little camouflages sometimes when they feel uncomfortable. This is actually from website, official website of Belgrade, with the skinhead symbol behind. If you didn't know the skinheads, that's here they write you. Just in case. And then you have two hammers. They're skinheads miners. And then you have little flags. And then you have here something, I'm going to show you. And of course, Southern flag, because same like as I noticed yesterday in graffiti, they really worry about black people in Serbia. That's why I have Southern flag. But you have that graffiti about black people here. I think that's too much. This group is called Odred 18. That's that, again, exactly same. And this is, of course, Heil Hitler. This is, their leader got shot by opposition. This is funeral to the leader. This is the Red Dawn from Greece came to pay respect. This is salute as his coffin was passing. This is not a joke. This is him. I don't want to show his face, but I just want to show you his tattoos. This is a rune, which I showed you earlier. This is symbol of skinhead. This is skull, and this is Viking. And now, to camouflage. Stone Island is one of the favorite companies for skinheads, because have cross, have circle, but you're not skinhead, you're fancy. Stone Island, Italian company, also did mistake, put that on a patch, on here, that way even look better. They remind them of something, but they are not so sure of what. And even in England, they published book, Skinhead to Stone Island, how these guys, they camouflage themselves from skinhead to fashion, fashionistas. Is that not only? They use everything. Oh, by the way, this is how even all patch with place for buttons, they use as a symbol. This is in, or here, and then of course here is all others nice symbols. This is skinhead on kids game, basketball game. Look at this girl and just look at these guys and the sandwich. How many of you know what is this? They know their fashion. Skinheads immediately adopted that because it's cross. That way is another little fashion statement, but you don't know what that means. If you cannot translate this, here is a little bit more explanation. Now, let's go back to this guy. You remember this Third Reich flag? Appear on the websites constantly. It's here, even the guys here. The reduced version look like skinhead symbol. It's nice to have on soccer game, like kind of like things which can use in the game. This is the headquarters entrance with this Third Reich thing. And this is now, I'm just gonna quickly go, graffiti in different stadiums in Serbia, which are there forever, official. You have these amateur versions, but you have like serious versions, as you can see. By the way, I don't know who is in public. All this is taken from different websites. No secrets here. Please, no arrest, anything like that. I just found it on internet, just in case. Anyway, symbol. This is the official. They all have websites. This is not, they all have websites. Some even have .org because the organizations kind of like doing good things for people. Runa, which one is pagan symbol. Okay, pagan symbol, we're going back, which one is appearing also regular, not only skull, not only skinhead, but pagan symbol. Interesting, this is in front of church. Christian church and pagan symbol, and zikar. Lots of things can appear in front of church, but here they are. Guys, this is an English version of partisan flag, because that way foreigners, they can know who they are. And it's funny, a friend of mine, art director at that time of New York Times, was in Belgrade with me, and as we was passing from the airport to our hotel, he asked me, is this some kind of neo-Nazi country? Because he saw every skinhead symbol and reacted. Local people doesn't react, they don't know even what is that. These guys that are tattooing themselves very often, that's why in America they photograph them, that's again same skull. That's again this. Now this is interesting. They're against gays, right? This is tattoo on his butt. That means guy who's against gays allow another man to penetrate his butt with a little needle. He bent it over and said, we're gonna show to these gays. And I'm not joking, very often on stadium they turn their back and they pull their pants down. Do not think his unique case, here is another butt. And then they pull that and photograph themselves for their website. He's obviously a teenager, doesn't take care of his skin, and drink too much Coke, which one is having sugar, but that's another story. They have bands. They have, as you can see here, is written Nazi and White Power CDs. You can buy them on internet. And now this is new, interesting here, thing is blood and honor. How many of you know what is blood and honor? No? That was engraved on Nazi daggers for killing. This is dagger which you get as a present when you become Nazi, and that's blood and honor on German. And this is now Combat 18 characteristics called blood and honor on Cyrillic. This is their website, blood and honor Cyrillic, blood and honor on English. You can click which you want. And this is what is now suddenly, just to show you how it's random. This thing here, how many of you know what is that? It's Afrikaner Flag, white supremacist Afrikaner Flag against black people in South Africa. Why is that here? No idea. Maybe I was thinking it looks good. Anyway, this is poster photograph. This is Blood and Honor Serbia on anniversary of bombing of Belgrade, and we know who bombed the Belgrade, Jews. Why Jews bombed the Belgrade? Amazing. To protect Muslims on Kosovo. Jews that do that all the time. Sometimes you just don't need any symbols. This is a basketball game. You're gonna notice later there's two things. You can do this way, but very often guys, they're showing two hands. That way it appears there is more of them, but doesn't look so obvious. This is Stormfront organization. This is an article in Guardian. Stormfront have website which is directly linked to the 100 hate crime murders. People brag there, talk there, and they do murder. That guy who I show you there was very often on Stormfront website. This is Stormfront page of Serbia. They have the sub-page inside of international site. And you can see even, I'm gonna read this for you. This is Ženski Kutak. And these are not that small numbers, 43,000 people visiting, and this is not so bad. Anyway, but doesn't stop in Serbia. Let's cross Drina. Brčko. I don't even know which small soccer club is in Republika Srpska, but here it is. Here it is camouflaged. Banja Luka, obviously. Here it is. I don't know even which club is that. But you know, why to stop in Republika Srpska? Let's go in Herzegovina. This is now Herzegovina. This is so funny. Exactly same symbol. Exactly same flags. And these guys that probably supposedly hate each other. I think, okay, here is the symbol. I think Podravka must be really happy on holiday and thanking her for these guys. Now, difference between here and United States is very simple. Unfortunately, most of your soccer stadiums, they belong in the city or state. That means this displays their own state property, which is illegal. In United States, stadiums, they're private, and they must make money from advertising. Decent company, and I don't say those ones, they're not, a decent company like Holiday Inn will tell them, no more advertising from Holiday as long as this is appearing on stadium. And there will not be ads, and they will make less money, and then they will go and grab them for elites, smack them down, and take flags away. But that normal logic of economy doesn't function here. That way you have Holiday Inn and skinheads. These are guys with spread arms, as I mentioned. This is the official site, zrinski.info. Still better than Gables.info, but that's another story. Just in case if you think they don't know who they are. You remember this partisan? This is how Zrinski look. Look at the face of the bird. Twin brothers. This is, we're still in Herzegovina. This is military flag of Germany. They like some weird combinations. And this is skinheads, like this combination and this combination. How many of you know what is this? It's Pope flag, Vatican flag. What Pope have good designers, usually you remember that Michelangelo guy and whatever. But somebody didn't explain to Pope and guys, and listen, every designer know, you leave empty area, somebody gonna draw something in. And because of that, good Catholics, they decide to improve Pope flag. And they think this is improvement. And this is, of course, in Mostar, and this is ultraswinsky.net. These guys, they're at least clever covering their faces. Now, we had Stormfront international website with part for Serbia. Why don't have, let's have also Croatia. Same website, same thing. They're sharing, except Croatians, they didn't need Cyrillic. You see it here, the Serbs, they adjusted to Cyrillic. Croatians, they didn't need. And they don't have ženski kutak. We can talk about that. I think that's not right. We need equality. Yeah, and they have povest kulture i športa. Is that your minister running? Oh no. And now let's go to tattoos of Croatians. Dinamo. Of course, Croatians, they claim this is Hrvatski pleter. Other guys, they claim it's Celtic Cross, and everybody claim whatever. Here is another big Hrvatski pleter on the back. This is some fight in Poland. This is a guy have interesting t-shirt, Legia. I don't know what is that. Okay, Hrvatski pleter here, skull here, and this is Armada Rijeka. This is from their website. You don't take that off. This is serious. And now Armada Rijeka, more Armada. This is all from their websites. This is Osijek, this skinhead symbol here. This is combination, skinhead, and all these nice things. And of course, blood and honor. They have also blood and they have honor. And symbol of skinheads here and a little eagle. And of course, everybody must have some Viking, because that's our tradition. And now a little eagle, and this is Torcida split. And they told me how I'm overdoing. This is not that. Even Americans, they have eagle. And I'm inventing things. And then I showed them t-shirt, which you can buy on Stadium. Suddenly, eagle is not just American eagle. Sorry. And of course, because of white uniform, they call themselves white boys, but also because they're white people. And those nice white people like to pose for PR. Let's go just for a second. This is also Omish, same angle, just to see small towns. More graffiti around Split. This is again Stone Island. They're getting free advertising. These are nice guys. It's nice to go stadium and you have guys with chains and clubs and Southern flag and few skinhead symbols. Must be nice feeling. You uplifting. Sport. Zdrav duhu, zdravom tijelu. I photographed this. This is in a Jewish ghetto in Dubrovnik. That's why they call ghetto. And this is Torcida. This is DVD which you can buy from Torcida with little skinhead symbol. And they say here, they're one of the oldest groups in Europe. I don't know which kind of group, but I think they're talking hooligan groups. And when you buy this DVD, you can see how they're beating up people. You're enjoying beating up people, and you can buy that. And these are nice guys. Those guys. Nice tomahawk. This baseball bat, because they play lots of baseball in Croatia, extremely a lot. And this guy's plumber, I think. Luckily, I don't need to show you what is that anymore. And this is now, to not think only that, this is Dynamo. These are those arms which I told you, Dynamo. This is Christian symbol, and then is runa here. Anything goes. You see difference between gay guys and these guys. Gay guys, they will have muscles, they will be tanned, and they will be synchronized. You see, these guys, they didn't learn. If you do YMCA, you must do together. YMCA. They didn't work. You see, this guy don't even look at them, he's embarrassed. And now this small places around Croatia. This is even, I think, water polo game, or I don't know, some, or no, handball game. Of course, they must be immediately naked. And don't tell me it's hot, because look at this guy, he's freezing. And this is how your media, when I say your media in this area, react. This is like these guys that do humanitarian action for Anna. And these are good guys who do humanitarian action for Anna, with this symbol. And Black Legion, which one is Ustasha, how do you call that, unit from Second World War. With that flag, this is good guys posing, they're gonna help her. When they don't pose for that, they go on graveyard and pose with same flag with empty bottles, saluting Zihar, being totally drunk. Nice guys. Probably they celebrate because they saved the honor. This is from their side, that's why they are all blurry. Again, Third Reich flag with little salute. Pope flag with little salutes. And H for Hrvatska with skinhead symbol. This is Rijeka going, they always like empty bottle, salute and flag here and there. They're going to visit game. Or in this case, they don't need anything. This is in front of Mimara, and their symbol is bicycle. And this is funny, they missed gay choreographers. They wanted to set themselves up in swastika, but this group messed up. Do not mention, you see how they like to destroy their own flags. I hope you notice, they always draw signs on their own flags. But this group mess up. You think that will go, honey, please, step up, open up. Right. Now, welcome to Slovenia. If you was thinking only on South is like that, oh no, oh they're coming, or maybe you're spreading, let's talk about that. I don't know who are those, Isola. I'm just pretending, I try to synchronize you, I'm engaging you. Name, you cannot miss. Now, how to explain skinheads with anarchist symbol? And this is probably, that's graffiti yesterday was against these guys. And they're gringos. And of course, I hope you can see, this is from their website, and this is the proud photographer putting name. I'm pointing that this is not secret from government. I found it on the web, please. Photo Ultras, I don't know, Celje, here it is, here it is, here it is. There is no public, but they're coming. Welcome to Ljubljana. Typical Slovenian, with skinhead symbol. Exactly same skull which one I showed you before. One of the subversion of swastika, because swastika is a revolving sun. That's one of the subversion of logo. These are guys on the game. These are guys after game, little salute and just in case. Let's go a little bit to Maribor, just to visit. Here is a symbol of Maribor with skinhead, which one have chain, beard, and skinhead sign. You can see it's about sport. He's very well balanced, you see, between drinking and eating, despite skinny legs. Salute. More of the guys, you can see, I don't know even who they are. Oh, here is written. They also like copper. They also like to paint over their own flag. Take national flag, put things on the top, show you're a real patriot. These are nice guys celebrating. This is the camouflage version. I don't know even who they are. And then, of course, you have English flag, of course. This is beautiful to me because of this and because of this. And, of course, crowd, photographer, name here. And then this thing happened a few weeks ago in Jasenica, and I decided to look on the web to see how that poster looked like. And I didn't find on any of the Slovenian websites poster how that look. And then I figured out, why will these guys that's there publish this photography? This is touristic postcard. What that mean? Does that mean Jasenica is too nice for that to happen? Or cannot happen in Jasenica? Or come to visit us, bring your skis? Why will this image of all images be next to the attack against Muslims? They don't like photograph Muslims? I don't know. Because, and then I found it on Serbian side, actual poster. That's the actual poster. You see his name is even here on Cyrillic. And this is the guys who blew the poster. And I hope you recognize Symbol by now. And if that was published in your media, they was able to talk about Symbol, and somebody was able to recognize later, and some mother will not put proudly picture of the son with this on her t-shirt, on his t-shirt. And this is, of course, Slovenian part of the Stormfront.org. Too many hate groups, too few symbols, that's the problem. Thank you. I don't know what is next. God hoće, ovaj mladi gospodin je organizator, njega sve pitajte. Koreografija, please.
Ja, če govorite danes o znanju, tudi strokovnjaki z področja in predavatelji.
English. Translation, please.
My lectures and
Microphone.
experts in this field today.
No, this was joke, I can understand.
Ki nam bodo pomagali obravnavano problematiko oziroma še dodatno osvetliti vidika dogajanja pri nas. In že lahko pozdravim dr. Monika Kropej, dr. Horvat Vidmar Ksenija, Anuška Bilić, novinarka in pa Nikolaj Džeps. Tamle.
I just want to correct one thing, because I heard somebody's doctor here, just to be important. I know, don't wave your head like that. I was attacked by a professor in Belgrade for my activity, and they will tell me constantly on the radio, but professor said you do this, but professor, because you like those titles, coming from Italy, dottore, professore. Professor do this, professor told, and I was I understood I'm losing argument because professor said that. And I said to myself, wait a minute, I'm Professor too. I teach in School of Visual Art in New York. And he's teaching in design school in Belgrade. I may be even bigger professor. And I said, please, from now on, address me as a professor. Doctor? He's doctor. I cannot be doctor, but I can be nurse. I'm very good at that. I must put something on white and
I'm a professor, and the doctor is not used to worry about me feeling any more important than yourself, but it seems to me that why I want to identify myself as a professor is because it seems to me there's a lot of pedagogical work to be done here. When I watch with my students documentaries on neo-Nazism in Slovenia, for instance, what they're telling me is they do not have a historical reference. Where is this coming from? Why would that be even threatening to democracy? It's a freedom of speech, it's freedom of expression. So it seems to me that there is a huge task ahead of us of how to insert historical component dimension of this, and not to see this as a kind of pop cultural trivia, people being somehow connected to sport, fandom, being irrational or whatever, because it seems to me that this part, by not reacting to this kind of symbol, it's part of mainstream politics, although it's not recognized as such. And it seems to me just perhaps a small observation from Slovenia on my side. It seems to me that after the European Parliament accepted the Declaration on Totalitarianism in 2020,
But then I tell them if something looked too wrong, and suddenly flags or start to look like Nazi flag, I tell them things. But I think blaming Europe for all your little homegrown fascism, it's kind of like they equalize. Why did you do it? You guys supposedly take from Europe what you like, and you don't take what you don't like. Don't take that part. Problem is, I think nobody don't bother. We have more important issues. Yes, until these guys, they start to march in uniforms. Then you're gonna say, it's okay, that's just marching on. And then what is next? I mention on purpose that I'm not gay and I'm not Jewish, because people then, if I tell them I'm gay or Jewish, they will say, oh, of course he's talking about that. I'm not. But they are my first line of defense. When they're done with them, I'm next. I know that, because then they're gonna go after beautiful people. I'm next. I know that. Straight and beautiful, on target. Anyway, especially for those fat guys. I think I did this on purpose to provoke. Festival embrace this, and we are trying to show this whatever we can. I had amazing few things happen in Tuzla and in Belgrade. I have chief of police in audience. They came to me and they told me, we didn't know whom we are fighting. Can we get your lecture? And I gave them lecture because they're gonna show to police to recognize, to not think those are some local guys and whatever. that's where you need to start from education to police, covering all grounds, because it's kind of really, really sad if you don't react on that. I'm not a politician, I'm not a clever guy, I'm an artist, I'm more instinctive. I don't know how to do that. I know you cannot forbid them, but I think you're going to damage them more with few things. With education, they're going to lose members. With good economy, they're going to get the jobs, they're not going to be educated and desperate. And probably with a little bit more moral government, because if you don't have really moral government, you cannot expect moral people too. It's always starting from top.
I'm researching graffiti and street art here in Slovenia, actually. What I would like to point out is what I'm noticing here is that these graffiti and street art, these fascist, neo-fascist groups are just like repeating actually the discourse that is going on in the hegemonic discourse in the political, I don't know, some political, some cultural, some media discourse already existing. And for example, we don't have just these crosses and stuff like that. We have now like this, maybe call it like postmodern neo-fascism that is dealing with patriotism,
I will not call it
nationalism.
postmodern neo-fascism.
Yeah, okay,
sounds too good. Sounds
I
like
know.
art movement.
I will. This is what. This is. They are hiding. They are actually hiding behind those discourse, and they have in Slovenia. We have this Carantanian Panther, which is used by these nationalists. And it's also, it's a big question. This Carantanian Panther is used actually by the biggest opposition party in Slovenia, and is also used by the some special forces. I don't know, a Slovenian special. I don't know if police or military unit, and military unit. And so this is a question: is this really just some groups that are like not they're like sideways, or is just great hegemonic discourse that is just
I'm just being sarcastic now, but seems like if you start to investigate that, you're gonna get yourself in trouble.
I'm already in trouble. You might know that I'm currently on trial for...
Is that passport in your hand?
No, it's...
I was thinking you're ready to go. You're just run.
If you're dealing in passports, I might be interested in one soon.
I got one from NSK.
Okay.
Diplomatic.
I don't think I could cross the border with it, but it's good that you mentioned the Corinthian Panther, because there is a new development lately that nobody's really noticed. One of our ex-presidents of the government, so prime ministers, and we all know who I'm talking about, published a book called...
I don't know.
Janez Janša published a book
you.
entitled The White Panther. This book I haven't had the privilege of reading it yet, but it seems like it's a sort of a fairy tale. Sorry, I will read it. I just don't want to pay money for it. Anyway, what I wanted to say is that I was really, when I saw the cover of this book, I was really sort of amazed, and I still am, that nobody's really noticed the iconography. Because the Slovenian Blood and Honor, Slovenian neo-Nazis, like you mentioned, are very, they're hiding themselves behind, patriotism and the Corinthian Panther and so on. But what this book is about, they say, is that it's about the Noric kingdom. And it's really interesting because the organization called This is Slovenia, Tu je Slovenia, has a website where they teach young people who later become members of Blood and Honor about the right history of Slovenia. And among those things is the theory that Slovenes are actually Venetians, that we had this huge role in the Noric kingdom, and so on.
From Venice, Venetian?
Venetians. No,
Oh,
not
Finnish.
from
Veneti.
Veneti, yeah.
Okay.
Venetians, not from Venice.
Okay.
Even before.
Yeah. So that we're not Illyrians anyway. And this cover is really striking. We have the mountains, the Slovenian mountains, a symbol of patriotism. We have the knight wearing a shield with a Corinthian panther on it, and right next to the feet, next to the feet of this knight is the White Panther. About 15 years ago or 13 years ago, an organization was formed called the White Nationalists of Slovenia. It was led by someone who is now a very important member of Blood and Honor, and obviously the white symbolizes not only the white pride and so on. I would say probably it symbolizes also the domobranci, so the people who were actually cooperating with the Nazis during the war. So I guess my question is, and you were mentioning, I'm sorry, I'm a little long, you were mentioning the police and so on. Yeah, but in Slovenia, members of Blood and Honor have good ties with the police, the army, and I think also the intelligence agency. So I guess we're in a position where there really is no serious effort to tackle this problem that is becoming ever worse through the fact that we're in a big crisis and people are, I guess, have problems surviving. So the organizations like this are becoming really a sort of quote-unquote safe haven for extremism. So what should we do? How to? I don't think there is no political willpower to solve this.
I'm citizen of the United States. I cannot get involved in your
I know,
inside
I'm not
politics,
asking you to.
but I think you need to vote better people in. Be active and vote and vote and sooner or later. You know, in what is that? Geology expression, how you make stone out of sand. Time and pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Time and pressure. If you don't have time, more pressure.
I don't think that's the solution.
No, I'm talking government voting people in. Look what happened in Greece.
Sorry.
Yeah, we have Zlata Zora in the parliament.
I know, but also they have left-wing government. But also, you need to start. This is big pictures. Let's start small pictures. Let's start small, if I can. In the United States, we have graffitis, and we have bad graffitis too. If you ever come to New York, you're gonna see that sidewalk in front of every building is different. Because sidewalk, city didn't want to bother with that, belong to building. You need to fix your sidewalk. If somebody fall in front of your building, you didn't clean snow and whatever, you get sued, not city. Perfect. Because of that, if you have any graffiti on a building, which one is offensive, building pay the fine. Building need to wash that. And they just come and give you a ticket. And each time they slap the ticket. And then guys in the building, they're telling to local guys, please stop doing that crap, I'm paying money. And we don't have that many graffiti. How many of you read a book, Tipping Point? Really important book. Read the book. Tipping point is calculating its idea when things tip in one direction or other. When AIDS became epidemic. When was that moment when became in between when city of New York started to go up? And they narrowed down to one single event. City decided to wash subway cars from graffiti. moment when cities, I know you're waving your head, but I know,
Disagree.
I know you, of course, because work with us, why they will work with you. I understand. Nothing doesn't work here. Their work, that's not for us. Can I finish?
Sure.
That's democracy. I listen to you very carefully. You're interrupting my word. That's democracy. Anyway.
3 women against you, sorry.
Oh, now you're playing female card. Honey, I'm more woman than you are. If you want that. Don't play female card to me, please. Now you need it, huh? Anyway, city decided to wash all subways. And citizens started same moment to behave differently. They stopped throwing papers. They started little by little be polite to each other, letting people in. And because suddenly subway belonged to them. And dynamic of city started to change. Little things, little victories. Or revolution. Choose. Yeah, they have also, he's not female, but I'm gonna let him go.
Okay, thank you.
Because he has nice glasses.
Yes. Okay, my name is Nikolai Jeffs. I'm a doctor as well. This is one reason I was motivated to get a PhD in the first place, so I could bring this to attention on occasions like this. And today, most of the work I do is in corporate at the Faculty of Humanities, in the coastal region, which is one of the most multicultural in Slovenia. Thinking about your lecture, I think, and also what Ksenia said, and how should we address these issues, and how should we try to overcome these symbols of hate and hate speech in society. I think we have to be aware of a number of things. And firstly, it seems to me that there is a difference between the internal image, its message, its internal ideological makeup, and then what happens to it in its externality. I'll give you a very good example. So, benign, friendly images may give us an impression that the world is in order, that it is harmonious, that society is nonetheless progressing. On the other hand, negative, offensive images may alienate us. That is true, and you gave a lot of examples of such images. But my question would be, for instance, I'm a very heavy smoker, but what is more likely, what kind of an image is more likely to stop me smoking? The picture of a happy non-smoker, or the picture of a diseased lung and a very unhappy smoker who's facing their end, their mortality? So that's one thing. The other thing is, I think this is a very good occasion, I mean, and context to talk about how images change. So images that are seen regressive in one context and totalitarian can become progressive and emancipatory in another context. And of course, there are people here who can say more about this, but I'll give you one example, two in fact, which is very famous. On Leibach's LP, Opus Dei, there is a reproduction of John Hartfield's anti-fascist montage, which is basically a swastika made out of bloody axes. And when Hartfield made that montage, that was a symbol of anti-Nazi resistance from a pro-communist point of view, because Hartfield was associated with the German Communist Party. When Leibach did that reproduction, of course, a lot of people, not knowing the historical context, thought that they were being apologists for Nazism, which was completely untrue. So I would agree with Ksenia. One has to try to build up historical memory and do a lot of educational work in that area. Another famous example is, of course, the poster for the Day of Youth in 1987, designed by Novi Collectivism, New Collectivism.
Please do not answer on high with this. Please. Please, I saw that.
And those of you who don't know, this was a poster, a propaganda poster taken from the Third Reich. It was submitted to a competition for the best poster to celebrate the Day of Youth, Tito's birthday, and it was recognized by the committee as a worthy symbol of socialist Yugoslavia at the time. So symbols can change, and I think we have to be aware of that. And if we want to fight them, then we have to take their fluid and changing nature into context. Another thing, maybe more controversially, and I'll conclude with this, the problem with ideologies such as ethnocentrism, ethnic exclusion, racism, is that they offer three very important things to the participants of that ideology and that practice. Number one, it offers them a subjectivity. They recognize themselves. They recognize their place in the world. They know who they are. They're white men, right, for instance. Secondly, it gives them the opportunity to enter a collectivity. They're part of a community. So they're overcoming not only are they being, is their individual self-confidence and self-recognition growing, they're also becoming part of the community. So they're overcoming their individual isolation and alienation through that. And those are two very powerful motives. And through this they have a relationship, let's call it collective subjectivity. And finally, ideologies of exclusion, sadly, they are a form of pseudoscience. So anybody who's interpolated into these ideologies can immediately see where his or her position is in the world, what are the main causes of the global economic crisis or rising crime levels, etc., etc. And the only way that we can basically fight these ideologies is to offer alternative ideologies that are and practices that are much better at, firstly, offering individuality, secondly, offering community, and thirdly, offering a valid description of the world in scientific and materialistically valid terms. And finally, how can we do this? We can't do it through promoting exclusion ourselves. Proximity, engagement, dialogue will probably, in my school at least, probably in the long term work better. Thank you.
I totally agree, because they want to belong to tribe.
Yeah.
And that's the only tribe which unwanted.
Yeah.
And tribe is getting bigger, but the other people don't want to even talk to them. And the young kids. That was, I know, ladies, you have one thing, really amazing. I'm talking and you're talking over me. That's that's quite actually amazing to think about. And we are talking, as I was quiet as you was talking. As I was quiet as you, because if you are talking, you cannot listen to me.
I admit we are not being very polite, but it seems to me that the main message that I got from your presentation today is not the fact that these are fan clubs gathered around soccer teams, but what's amazing, what you also emphasized yourself, is that nobody gives a damn about it. That they are there, the graffitis, the symbols, the flags, and there is no reaction to it. So I think this is a mirror of the mainstream society, really, and it seems to me it's quite dangerous to say that this is some kind of underground subculture, pop culture, sport, fandom, pathology, because it is not. It's part of the mainstream culture. It seems to me that a lot of mainstream population would say, well, we agree with blood and honor and this is Slovenia, if only they would put their ideas in more polite terms. You know, many people would agree with what they are saying. This is Slovenia, we do not to have foreigners here, etc., etc. So it seems to me, I'm talking about this moral relativism that is much more pervasive throughout the society, and the history lesson needs to be in my opinion, brought in. It's not just a matter of small community and how we handle with this kind of, I don't know, unhygienic acts of street culture. It's really about social commitment to some kind of a different understanding of what's going on. So my point is, this is not a minor thing.
No, I didn't think it's minor. As I said, on Gay Pride Parade, they managed in 3 days to organize 6,000 people. I was in Hotel Moskva. That's where it unfortunately happened. The old buses started to come and stop. They came from all Serbia. Somebody called them, they showed up. They had all walkie-talkies, they was talking. Actually, police was telling them where it's gonna be what. was extremely well organized. That's why next year they forbid parade, because those guys are better organized than police. Yes, sir.
I just want to say something. No. Can I ask, can I speak in Croatian?
Yeah.
I speak English, but when I'm excited, then I lose words. I just want to say, ja vam samo želim reći. Bila je jedna noć koja se zvala Kristallnacht. U Kristallnachtu, u Njemačkoj, oni su počeli sa razbijanjem stakla i farbanjem žutih zvijezda. Tako je počelo. Ali znate kako to završi? Sa nožem. I tu nema diskusije. Ovo je samo početak. Njih treba zgaziti ko žohare. Znate šta su žohare? Da. Da, to je sve. Ovdje nema demokracije. I tu ne treba biti demokracije. Jer ovi nisu zavredili demokracijsko, da se s njima na demokratski način ophodi. Jer to je samo početak onoga što mi ne želimo. A to da se ponovi ovo što je do sada bilo. To je važno. Da ovo vodi opet jednom, neću da kažem holokaustu, jer onda opet kažu da, on je Židov pa zato tako govori. Vodi jedno uništenju.
Lijepa stvar sa demokracijom što se mi tu razlikujemo u mišljenju i što tebe ja još uvijek volim.
Osim toga, ma nije važno. Osim toga, ja sam doktor.
Ne, ja mislim da je zaista, sve što sam ja htio s ovim je da ljudi počnu prepoznavati simbole i da počnu razmišljati o tome. To je sve. Kako su organizirani, ko ih je organizirao, kako to sredi, to ja ne mogu pomoći. Ali sljedeći put ne mrete reći nisam znao da je to.
I just wanted to point out one thing why we were so it's not about the city level or country level, it's about the international level. The European Parliament has Jobbik, has Golden Dawn and UKIP, and it's just going to spread and spread and spread for now.
They say in my country, my little country, think global, act local. If you say it's Europe, then let's go drink. It's over. We cannot do nothing, they're bigger than us and whatever. Change your neighborhood for beginning. Yeah, don't give me excuses to do nothing. I don't buy that. It's like change your neighborhood. Change people around you. You know, explain to people. Did I stop you yesterday when I saw you have, how's his name? Stone Island. I stopped him and I told him just to be aware that means that and that, and just to know, at least aware that consciously don't send me signals. I didn't want to say to ambassador from Bosnia that he have skinhead symbol around his neck, but he didn't know that. Now I must take that scarf from you. But I'm just trying to tell just little steps. It's painful, it's take forever, but little steps. There are some other people, clever people, they're gonna do revolution, they're gonna do amazing things. But we, as a common people, we need to do those little steps. I really believe in little steps. Yes, young man.
Hey, Mirko, thank you very much for a wonderful thing here. Lots of fun. Burberry's, they used to make English uniforms in the Second World War. Hugo Boss did the German ones.
Yeah.
Some of the German ones.
The best ones.
Anyway, don't go there.
Come on,
You know, when Hugo Boss finally admitted, after 50 years they was doing Nazi uniforms, I wrote a little article and I wrote, finally SS is out of Boss.
But on a slightly more serious note, what Mr. Lustig had to say is of massive importance, even more so than your talk. I'm sorry.
Don't cancel my speech.
Yeah, you stole your show. This dude here stole your show. The trick is there's this law of social thermodynamics that in short run, mid run, and long run, you always have a victory of a better motivated and organized interest group. What you're showing to us here is this, expanded version of your anecdote. When three right-wingers meet, the only thing they have to discuss is the color of the uniform. They make their deals quickly because they realize that they have a goal. I don't know if this is a standard lament over the disorganized dissipation, of left-wing forces in society, but it is nevertheless a story of two types of people having a different relation towards the group that they're supposed to belong to. So, when we are going to see now very shortly this successful Slovenian writer that wrote a beautiful novel about White Panthers create a government together with Milo Cerar in the so-called big coalition, please read the news in the following weeks, then we're all going to be very puzzled how come that these guys still are having the upper hand. And the answer to that question is just the same as the answer to the question how Kristallnacht happened, is that these people are simply organized. It's not a massive, mystifiable concept. It's not a mystery. It's clear. So just get organized. And also be yourself when you are confronting these people in everyday situations. You see, Slovenia is a place where people, majority, actually almost all of them, define life as that period before death when you have to do everything to avoid embarrassment. And that actual characteristic of this little crowd here is a bit of a problem when we are discussing activist stance. So it's going to be interesting to observe. So let's wait for the next government. Or do something.
I personally, I teach my students history. I think history is very important. I have only a few mistakes personally. One of them I'm modest, otherwise I'll be perfect. Other one is I'm dyslexic. That's why I work in the pictures. And I always feel I'm not very well educated. Because of that, I started to educate myself. I started to buy books. I started to write books. Because of that, what doctor mentioned before, that poster is in my book, which I published in the United States, which I wanted them to see in the United States and to understand what's going on. In my books, which I write, 60% examples that are not from the United States. I write them from the United States because I think United States need to learn. There are some amazing things in the rest of the world. We are not only one existing. Books, education, history, they're extremely, extremely important. But you must face your history. You must admit what is done and move on. Otherwise, these little hidings of anything and everything can turn in somebody writing whatever they want in their history book, because everybody's rewriting history. Every 5 minutes, they're changing names of streets and rewriting history. Yes, sir. With full respect.
Thank you, Mirko. Great presentation. Really, I learned a lot. I'm also an artist, and I'm, as an artist, working with visual material and symbols. So you have skinheads who have their own symbols, and you have under-skinheads. And I'll try to explain what means under-skinheads for me. These are the people who are not using any visual symbols, who are appearing as modern Europeans, but who are performing fascistic, nationalistic, political hate, and they are hiding behind some kids who are using symbols, even sometimes they don't know what they're using them for. So, I suggest that we should not only use positivistic method of forbidding, but educating people, putting symbols in the counter juxtaposition, because symbols can kill. But more you hide the symbols, more you forbid them, more brutal and more evil they became, rising up from the ash as a kind of phantom of the past. And we don't want to be victims of the phantom of the past. So we have to have responsibility, and we are living in the world, we cannot just punishing all the time. So we have to find the channels to change this world also. And I agree with you, Mr. Lustig, what you said. But still we need this kind of ethical fantasy, how to solve this.
I think United States is a good example. We had a guy called Duke in Louisiana, who was big wizard of KKK. And that's pretty much what he stayed until he took his hood. It's funny how guys think they're tough if they dress up looking like a bat, but that's another story. He took his sheet and hood, put suit, put tie, and he almost won an election. Same language, same everything, except he was looking like neighbor you would like to have.
I just want to finish this. I was reading one text during the war in Bosnia, and there was some paramilitary group claimed, he said, we are not kind of rural fascists. We are kind of urban one, he said. When we go and destroy the village, we are not listening kind of peasant music, kind of turbo. We are listening to Laurie Anderson. We are kind of urban people. And we are living in this kind of world, but strange connections and things happening. And this is maybe not fascism, this is something new. Something what we don't know anymore. Because we should not think about Nazism, fascism as a frozen pictures of the 30s and 40s. We have to recognize the new forms, the postmodern forms of it.
That's what are these new symbols, that's why I was showing them. Nice example of that is one of the neo-Nazi groups sent that letter from Serbia, sent that letter to neo-Nazi group in Germany. They wanted to become like together members. And these guys, they answered them, sorry, you're Slavs, you cannot be Nazis, but you can stay fascists. Like, sorry, you are our problem. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we come to a point that could have been foreseen, because many times these discussions, they end at the crossroads between, do we restrict freedom of speech or do we enlarge freedom of speech? I belong to this other camp. And the reasons why, well, just from your lecture, they're very simple. If the symbols that you had shown would have been somehow underground, illegal, forbidden, if it would have been legally difficult for you to display them here, then this audience wouldn't be aroused into some kind of action. So there's a paradoxical effect there. So bringing these symbols up and this discourse out into the open, I think, is always, on the whole, a good thing. It can have unfortunate consequences, but just the minor ones, but let's leave them aside. Or major ones, doesn't matter. Let's leave that. Second thing is proximity. Proximity. We've been talking about images, but images work through mediation. And so does a lot of practices and ideologies of exclusion. I'll give you a couple of examples. I was a member of a transnational peace group during the war in the wars in ex-Yugoslavia, and I spent some time in all across different regions of Yugoslavia, but also in Serbia. And those of you who were in Serbia during the war will remember, Radio Television Serbia was really had a really creative approach to propaganda that was highly effective. And I remember this is in 1992, the end of 1992, a peace group from Vojvodina issued a leaflet that said very, very simply, if you're upset, they were talking to Serbs, it was addressing a Serb audience, if you're upset by images on Serbian television, phone up somebody you know who is not a Serb and talk to them. Talk to them, just talk. So you overcome the barrier that has been artificially created by these images. And proximity works in a very good way. So another example from this lecture. I doubted that all the skinheads that we saw, I doubted that absolutely none of them has ever ordered a burek from an Albanian, has never been to a party where a Roma group would play, or does not know any gay people. Of course they know gay people, but they don't know that these people are gay because these people probably won't tell them. And the thing is to open up these ties. It seems to me that that is the way to overcome ideologies of exclusion. Of course, we have flashpoints across the world. There's Kashmir, there's Israel-Palestine, there's Nigeria, there's Ukraine. We could go on and on. Lots of people are getting hurt and lots of people are dying in these regions. But the fact is, when you look at the social texture, the proximity, the rich tapestry of life, the communication that goes on, the cohabitation that goes on between people of different ethnic groups, identities and cultures, you see that this texture is far greater than anything that the ideologies of exclusion can promote. So my suggestion would be, again, I would say there has to be some kind of direct engagement based on some form of proximity. I don't think it's I don't think you can fight exclusion by excluding the person who's doing the exclusion, so to speak.
I totally agree.
Let's go.
Let's go. Any non-doctor or non-professors with questions?
It's not allowed.
Any future doctors and professors? Sorry, this is ex cathedra. Okay, you all got 5, you can go home.